even when I first heard Born Primitive, when I was in Virginia Beach, because at that time you guys were starting to get some traction, people were starting to know who you were. I had poked around on the website, done some research, and it really was like my instincts saying like, there's something here. Now there's a funny story there that that somebody had introduced me to Mal, who is the other co-founder and COO, and she flat out said like, I'm not hiring a guy. No, maybe he can go work at the print shop who's like not affiliated with Born Primitive at all.
What was her reasoning for not hiring a guy?
Well, there was
Hopefully
only,
that doesn't get us sued.
There were only female employees at the time in the warehouse, and she thought it would be a distraction to hire a guy.
I wonder why.
Yeah, to hire a guy in the warehouse. So that was even once again another kind of like knock, was that like I'd gotten excited that, oh, this company, like maybe there's opportunity for me here. I'd always felt like learning the business world is something that can then translate to so many different environments. So that was enticing to then right away just get shut down and be like, nope, I'll introduce you to the print shop guy. Maybe he'll hire you. It's kind of like, damn. So was serving tables, bartending at some restaurant that I didn't give a shit about when, like you said, my brother sat down with you. So when he said, hey man, he wants to meet with you, there 100% was still the thoughts of like, hey, you're not going to be making a ton of money. This is not going to be glorious. But to me, it was at least something. It was like a life raft that like I'd been looking for, where at least there was something to work towards then. So yeah, that's a moment I think back on a lot, because my mentality really was, and then I saw how that played out in the workplace. Like it was, you're gonna make this work because there's something here. So pull at that thread, do whatever you have to do. Like curb your ego, have a high level of humility, because there's potential here, and those situations are rare. And now looking back at that, it is strange how, and I don't know if you would agree with this, like the universe at times opens up with an opportunity, but it doesn't seize it for you. You have to take that initiative, and it takes a level of awareness to be able to see. And I even see that play out here now when like something is right. Like oh shit, that's an opportunity we should pull the thread at. And having the internal kind of like intuitiveness and also just having that compass to guide you, you learn to say yes to those moments. And then you also learn that, hey, you need to lean in and put a ton of hard work in though to bring that to life.
Yeah, no, it's funny. First point I'll make, it's funny how it's like the ask mom, and if she says no, just ask dad. Sounds like y'all definitely played that card.
Exactly it,
I probably wouldn't track it at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, dude, you got a job and you better work your butt off. And then I go tell Mal, hey, I tired this Tony guy, and she's like, the same one I said no to.
And she was in France at the time because they were doing the French throwdown.
Hey, the universal line.
Yeah, exactly.
And then she probably gave me crap for that. You didn't run that by me.
Yeah.
I can hear it right now. No, it was cool, man, because you came in and it's interesting to hear that perspective. I haven't heard that before, because from my optic, it was like, all right, Division I athlete, college degree, and like I'm offering him a warehouse position. Like he might have a little bit of entitlement of like, this is above me or below me, sorry. And you didn't project that externally, but I thought in the back of my mind, hey, this might be something this guy isn't that stoked about in the long run. And very quickly was able to see, through your actions that was far from the truth, and that you took it head on. And it was one of those things like, all right, whatever the job is that I'm doing, I'm going to apply myself and work my butt off and make it noticeable through my actions, not by, pounding my chest and saying, look how hard I'm working. It was just, I was able to easily observe that. And I would remember, because that's when we had the gym across the way. And I know we've mentioned this before, but I'd be in there hitting my evening workout, and everyone will have left. And then I'd look across the doors and I'd see you like sweeping the floor at 7:00 at night. And it's like, those are the little things that matter. So if you're an employee and you're thinking, why aren't you getting recognized by the boss? I would recommend do some self-reflection on what are you doing that's above and beyond the standard, because that's how you're going to climb. Now, not to say you can't have a good career by doing what's asked of you, but if you really want to be aggressive and stand out amongst your peers, you have to be able to do things like that, and that takes humility.
Yeah,
right. The sweeping the floors analogy. I think that's something that has been instilled in me in a few different teams that I've been a part of, but most recently in the military. I remember we had a command master chief who was a very accomplished individual in the military world. I'll leave it at that. And I remember on a Friday afternoon when most guys would have gone and got their weekend, the CMC was out in the hallway pushing a broom. And this dude is like a bad dude that he needs no introduction, and he could absolutely be like, no, somebody else can do that. And he was the only one in the hallway pushing a broom, right? And that was the coolest thing to see, that 25 years in, this guy still has that same mentality. So I think humility goes a long way, and you've continued to carry that.
I think, why are you sweeping? That's the big question too, because I can honestly say in those beginning stages, I was not doing it because I wanted to be seen. I was doing it because I knew it was the right thing to do. And like, I cared so much about seizing that opportunity that I was going to do anything that I know needed done, almost to an unhealthy degree, where I was working, and shout out Nicole B, because I feel like she was the same. She's still our director of fulfillment. If there were things to do, I was going to do it. It didn't matter what time it was. It didn't matter if we had to show up on a Saturday, show up on a Sunday, but the why was for the right reasons. If you're sweeping because you know the CEO is going to be over there lifting, that will get sniffed out eventually. He may think at first like, oh wow, that person's over there sweeping, but over time, they're going to start to pick up on that. Wait, they do that only when people are watching. And then what I can say though is like, and once again, Nicole B was a huge part of this as well, is we were doing it because we hadn't, and I'll speak for myself, not her, but she's a close friend, is I hadn't defined exactly who I was yet. So I had, my ego in that workplace was kind of humbled, and it was like, no, I want to make sure I'm contributing to this environment. And we could go deeper too, that like my dad very much instilled that in us of like, and we grew up in a shit area where like it's you either work at the prison or you're in the prison. That's what everyone says because it's so bad. And so if there's one thing my dad drilled into my brothers and I, it's like, be the hardest worker in the room, but do it for the right reasons. And that is something in those beginning stages. And even now I see as a senior leader is that you can sniff out when people are helping to be seen and just to get the recognition, or the flip of that is you can sense when, hey, this person's doing it for the right reasons because their internal compass is telling them it's the right thing to do. And those are two very different things. And I think that's worth distinguishing. And of course, you want to be seen. You want to get recognition. That's all natural. But if that's the only thing you're trying to do, that's going to get sniffed out eventually.
Totally. And yeah, it will get exposed because it won't align at some point when the actual output is not lining up with like the intangible things you think you're witnessing. So that's totally legit. And I think one thing that to pull out of this is recognizing opportunity. And there's no manual, there's no way it has to be instinctual. And I think I told you, hey man, I'm biased, but I think what's going on here, there's some magic that, as the years play out is going to reveal that. And I think safe to say that was true. And I think you believed in that. And that's why you were willing to take a chance. Yeah. So for people that are in different organizations, try to zoom out and see, the direction of the organization, how big is it, the career ascension, what that looks like. Because it might sound cool to go work for Google or, in a very established like Fortune 500 company, but when there's 5,000 employees and you're a tiny little cog on a really big wheel, the opportunity there might actually be quite less than maybe taking a chance on a startup where you're in the trenches with like 6 or 7 people and you see the vision and all right, if I apply myself, I can ascend to become a vice president in 4 years, where at the other company that would take me 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'd be working, I wouldn't be fulfilled because it's almost like in established companies, some of it is, it's almost easier because everything has been established, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's the wild frontier, man. Like there's no SOPs. We're still establishing the business. We don't know what the hell we're doing. You know what I mean? So like you have to be cut out for that uncertainty. And as we've seen, like there's some people that come in that really thrive in that. I don't want to say we have a lack of structure, but there's definitely a little bit of pickup basketball and pivoting and like we got to figure it out on the fly versus like if you go work for Coca-Cola, I would imagine it's like, okay, here's your desk and here's your KPIs and like you do good things and you know what I mean? Like it's just a totally different environment. And I guess knowing, when that opportunity is there and when to really lean into it and say, all right, this is unique and I'm going to go for it and give it a few hard years and then reassess.
Well, and I would be naive if I said part of this wasn't luck, because even looking at my life now with a partner and a 15-month-old and another one on the way in 2 months, I couldn't have done what I did then. So that's a huge part of me looking at that. Like, yes, hard work, yes, humility, yes, resilience, but the timing. And once again, though, it's funny how those things work out. And if you seize opportunities, the timing seems to be there because I didn't have much going on at that time. My brother even was overseas a lot. So I just had a lot of time to really dig in and put all of my effort into this. So it leads back to what you said of whether you're looking to make a career pivot or you're fresh out of college looking to enter the workforce. It's about recognize or defining what type of environment best suits your lifestyle. Because if you have the freedom, it's like, that would be my first recommendation is find and I could give you the exact revenue numbers of a company within this range, because it is a pressure cooker and it's going to suck. And there will be some chaos that you're going to have to navigate, but you're going to build a skill set, what I would say 4 or 5x it would take in the corporate world. Now, if you're 35, you have 3 kids and you're looking to make another pivot, you may want to go the corporate route simply for the fact that things are more defined, your work hours, everything is going to be carved out. So yeah, that's on each individual to kind of recognize and know, because it's not for everyone. And looking back at my trajectory here, it's like, I wouldn't even recommend that to a lot of people. Now, certain people I'd be like, hell yeah, that's exactly what you need, because you don't have a skill set. I did not. You have nothing else going on. I did not. And it's like, so dig in, build a skill set so that if nothing else, you're confident in your ability, regardless of what environment you're in. But that happens much quicker at a company like we were, or at the size we were at.